Hello all you rainbow warriors, and welcome to my channel. I am MrTieDye, and I'll be your host today for this video. I guess for all of my videos I'm the host. Anyways, I've had lots of people liking my mystical magical spiral videos, and I keep having more questions. I have those ones that come up that what would happen if, and they describe a scenario of how they want to fold it or dye it. And I decided to go ahead and do another video. So a few of these are going to be just the regular spiral like I've done before, but then I'm going to kind of play with the spiral in other ways rather than just starting right in the center of the chest. So, and then I'll go ahead and tie each one, dye it, and show you the results just so you don't get confused, because I have 8 t-shirts here. So we're just going to go through several different methods of tying and dyeing the spiral, the mystical magical spiral. So anyway, let's get started. So to start with, all of the t-shirts have been soaked in soda ash. They've been spun out, so they're just barely damp. That's my preferred method. If you're dyeing them damp instead of kind of sloppy wet with soda ash, then you're going to get better saturation. Sometimes people have been running into issues of having too much white in their tea, and sometimes that can result just from not getting enough of the liquid soda ash back out of your t-shirt. So I say, you know, if you don't have a washing machine to spin out the excess, just make sure you kind of squeeze it really good. I mean, try not to twist too much, because you can break the threads if you're twisting. But if you squeeze it good, they also have those mop bucket wringers that I've seen a lot of people buy. Put it in there. They also have the little mini portable spinners. I think for a couple $100 you can find those on Amazon. So those are just different ways of getting the excess soda ash out of your tea so that more dye can go in, because a t-shirt can only hold so much liquid, and if it's half full of soda ash, then you can only get half. The other half is going to be dye, and then you're going to have more white in your colors, or you're going to have your colors blending and muting together. So anyways, let's go ahead and get started. This one here, and the first 3, I'm going to do just a spiral. So we're going to do this in fast forward mode, and then I'll put on some gloves and we'll dye this. So and for me, what I like to do is I get a few twists going on there, and then I usually will hold that center spot and kind of wrap the rest of the t-shirt around that middle spot there. And it's every time I'm pulling, what I'm doing is creating these long creases here, and then those creases then are what are getting wrapped around that center spot. And that's how I will do all of these, regardless of where I start twisting the spiral from. They're all going to be twisted in the same type of fashion. And by putting my hand on top here, I can kind of have the t-shirt come out all at one level. I mean, it folds some of these pleats over, but I can tuck some of those in after the fact. But my main thing is just trying to get this nice and evenly twisted. And I like to have it kind of tight twisted also. If it's too loose, then it kind of falls apart when you try to pick it up, move it around. Okay, and normally I use kite string, but rubber bands work just perfect for doing spirals, and they create some guidelines here for coloring. So on these ones here, I think I'm going to use rubber bands. And my preferred method for putting a rubber band on is to stretch it out between a couple fingers so you have a little bit of a gap there that's taller than your t-shirt here. If you need to, you can put 3 fingers in there. But if you put your knuckles down on the table where your rubber band is flat against the table, then you can slide it right under without trying to pick up your t-shirt. And it just makes quick work of putting your rubber bands on. And what I try to do is cross all 3 rubber bands right wherever I started twisting the spiral at. So that way what that does then is create these nice pie shapes. So if you're going to dye like a rainbow spiral, you have 6 pie shapes now that you can dye in. But we're going to be dyeing these in all sorts of fashions, so we'll get back to that. So like I say, I'm going to twist all of these up now, but then I'm going to edit the video so that each one, so I'm going to go into dyeing this one next. Okay, we got our gloves on, so let's get this dyed. So this time, instead of dyeing in the pie shapes, I'm going to dye in a bullseye pattern. So basically, I'm going to dye the center all one color. And then I'm going to dye another ring around that. Okay, and this one we're going to dye the same on the back side also, in the bullseye. And I'm overlapping just a little bit with my turquoise, just to give me just a little bit of a green ring around that yellow there. Just another way of kind of adding a little bit of extra color in there without using another dye bottle. And then I do the same thing with the fuchsia here. I'm going right on the edge of the turquoise, just to give me a little bit of a purple ring there. Okay, there's the Bullseye Spiral, so you'll see the results in about 2 seconds. Okay, it's been 48 hours. It's time to get this t-shirt opened up. So, yeah, it's looking good. Let me set up and I'll open it all the way. Alright, there we have it. Alright, we'll get on to the next one. Okay, here's another spiral one. Okay, we're back with some gloves. So now we're going to dye this one in the bullseye pattern on the front, and then we're going to dye it solid on the back. So, and also I'm just using 2 colors on the front here. And this will be turquoise and then bright green. And then on the back side, I'm going to use my black, and we're just going to color the whole thing solid. Okay, there's another bullseye spiral with a solid back on it, and this one here we're going to batch it with the black side down, and you'll see the results here in about 2 seconds. Alright, here we go. Let's get this thing opened up, see what we got here. So yeah, it's looking good. Alright, let me open it up. Alright. So there we have it. Alright, on to the next one. Okay, one more spiral. I'm going to use just 2 colors. I have sapphire blue and plum, and I'm going to use my foam brushes to paint one side with each color, just so I don't get too much dye in there, and then it's going to leave a lot of white in there also. So, and these are just regular dyes, they're not thickened in any way. So what I usually will do is just squirt a little bit on the table and just dip my brush in. And I'd rather do that. If I poured some of this into a little cup and dip my brush in it, I would still have to throw all of that away because there's soda ash on the t-shirt, and each time I touch the t-shirt then I'm getting soda ash on the brush, and I don't want to dip it back into this little container if I'm going to pour that back into my bottle. So it's easier just to pour a little bit on the table, or for that matter, if you have like a little lid from one of your dye containers, you can just use that. Just make sure that you toss out any excess when you're done. And I'm just going to go over this just one quick time. I don't want too much dye to soak in because I want to leave a lot of white. And I tend to move these rubber bands out of the way when I'm using my brush. If not, if you accidentally pull on this, you could end up flinging dye across the room, and that's always fun to clean up later. Okay, there is the, this is a design. If I do both sides in a solid color, I call this design the spider web. It's not exactly a spider web, but it's a cool name when I go into the schools because the kids like to have cool names for their t-shirt designs. So anyways, you'll see the spider web in about 2 minutes, or 2 seconds. Thank you. Alright, time to open up another one. So there we have it. And on the back side, let's open it all the way. Alright, so there we have it. Of course, we're going to have more blue on that side and more purple on this side. We could even change that up. If you used thick dye and painted it on, you get even more separation there. So we'll get this washed and I'll post later. Okay, here's another one, but instead of twisting from up here, I'm going to twist from down on this corner here. And the way that I like to twist this is twisting it, wrapping where I'm going across the bottom of the t-shirt. You can twist it going up the side, but it tends to kind of change the design a little bit. So you can do it that way if you like, but I'm going to twist mine going right across the bottom. And I'm doing just the same thing. Instead of pinching here, I'm just pinching here, but doing the same spiral twist. And this one here, I can stretch out these corners here and create these big long creases, and all of these creases here are going to wrap up around this center spot here. And of course, with this design, you, instead of going from the bottom corner, you can pick and do one of the sleeves and wrap going across the top there. So you can flip-flop this any way you want. You're going to get the same type of design. It's just going to be either starting at the bottom or starting at the top. Okay, let's dye this one up. This is one that I call the rainbow. So we're going to go ahead and dye it in rainbow colors. I'm doing fuchsia, deep orange, lemon yellow, bright green, sapphire blue, and plum. So we're just going to dye this up just like we would like a rainbow spiral, but this one here I actually just call a rainbow because it kind of gives you arcs on the t-shirt. So we're going to start right down here. And here I'm just using my rubber bands as my guidelines to color in each of these pieces of pie. I always start with my primary colors first, get those all the way up to the center here, and then the other colors I just dye up to the white spot. If you try to put 6 colors all the way up in the little middle spot here that's about that big, you're going to end up with brown in the middle. So just to try to avoid that, I just make sure that my primary colors kind of spread into the other sections here, and then they're going to mix and make the secondaries up there in the middle. Okay, there is the rainbow. So you'll see the results in about 2 seconds. Alrighty, let's see what we got here. Yeah, let's open this up. Alright, there's the rainbow tee. So that came out pretty good. Okay, here we go again. This one here, I'm going to do the same type of twist. I call this here just a rainbow. The other one I twisted from the bottom corner. This one I'm going to start from the sleeve because here's my collar up here. And then we're going to dye this one a little bit differently also. But just to show you what this design looks like when you wrap it from the top. Okay, I'm back to get some dye put on this thing. I end up putting the dyes in the wrong places here, so I just tied up another t-shirt. But I tied it in the same fashion. This was the rainbow that I tied from the sleeve across the top and just wrapped the whole thing up. So we're going to dye this up in 3 colors. I'm going to do the rainbow on one side where I'm doing the pie shapes. And then on the back side, I'm going to do this solid color. So I'm going to use just 2 colors on the front, cobalt and emerald green. And then we're going to dye the back side solid with bright green. Okay, now the back side I'm going to dye all solid one color with the bright green so that you can see the effects better. Okay, there's the rainbow design with a solid color on there. And we're going to let this batch up for 48 hours, but you'll see the results here in about 2 seconds. Thank you for watching. Alright, time to open this baby up and see what we got. Yeah, some nice color in there. Let's open this all the way. Alright, there we go. We'll get this washed. Okay, another way to do it is you can start twisting from the edge of the t-shirts. So that's what I'm going to do here. Alright. Okay, we got some gloves on. Now it's time to get this side spiral dyed up. And this one here, I'm just going to dye the top solid, the bottom solid, using 2 different colors. So we're going to go with fuchsia on the top and cobalt on the bottom. Okay, there it is. I'm going to let it batch for 48 hours and then you'll see the results in about 2 seconds. Okay, I'm sure it's been more than 2 seconds, so here are your results. Yep, looking good in there. Let's open this all the way. And there you have it. Okay, this one, instead of starting up here in the chest, we're going to start down here off the hip. Okay, welcome back. So I ended up running out of time. I had an appointment yesterday afternoon, so I didn't get a chance to finish dyeing the last 2 tees. So I'm going to do that now, but the other tees have already been batching for 24 hours. So this just affords me the perfect opportunity to do a comparison. So this tee here, I'm going to dye it today. I'm going to steam set it in my vegetable steamer and then batch it for 24 hours. And then I can compare it with the other ones that have already been sitting for 24 and will sit for another 24. So I'm going to have some that were batched at 48 hours. This one will be batched, steam set, and then batched 24 hours. And then the last tee here, this one here, I'm going to dye up and just batch straight 24 hours. And then we'll do a comparison at the end, see if we can see a difference. They're dyed with all the same dyes. I mixed these up new yesterday, so the only difference is these dyes are 1 day old compared to yesterday. They were brand new. Anyways, let's get started. So I'm going to go ahead and dye. We're doing the low spiral, the one that we started down here on the hip of the t-shirt. So I'm going to dye it in rainbow colors so I can compare it to the ones that I dyed yesterday in the rainbow colors. So we're going to start out with fuchsia here. I think we're going to go right here where we're going to go up into the collar with this. That's the nice thing about tie-dye, is you can decide where you want the colors to be. This is ready. I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna put it out in the vegetable steamer for probably 30 minutes, and then I'm gonna put it in my tub and batch it for 24 hours, and then I'm gonna wash all of the dyes out together. But you will see the results of this in about 2 seconds. Okay, it's been just shy, well, it's been just about 24 hours exactly, I think, at this point. So this is the one that I dyed it, steam set it for 30 minutes, and then I batched it for 24 hours. All the rest of them I had batched for 48 hours, but while making the video I ran out of time, so these last 2 I dyed the next day. So anyways, let's get this thing opened up. That's looking pretty good. So we'll open her. Alright, there you have it. That's the low spiral, and like I say, you can do this down off the hip on either side. You can do it up off of the shoulder up here if you wanted to. You just pick where you want your spiral to start and twist. Okay, in this one I'm going to do a double spiral. So what I want is a spiral that starts right there, and I want a spiral that starts right there. So what I'm going to do is just pick up that spot. I just put my finger underneath that X, and I'm just going to lay that X right on top of this other one right there. And then from that point, I can kind of see my X through there, but if you need to, you can kind of pinch that up just so you don't lose track of that spot. Or you can even make yourself a little X on this side so you can see it. But then I basically just smooth out all of the wrinkles in the t-shirt so that I have a nice even fold here. Once you get it all kind of flattened out, then you're just going to pinch and twist right there just like you would. Just make sure that you're grabbing both layers of the t-shirt here. It's going to be a little bit thicker, so it's going to be a little bit more difficult to get everything to lay flat, but if you just take your time and work with it. Okay, one last tea to dye, and like I say, I'm going to dye this one in rainbow colors also, and then it's going to batch for just 24 hours because I'm going to wash it at the same time that I dyed, or that I washed the other t-shirts, which I dyed yesterday. So we're just going to do a little comparison here between this one, the other ones, and the one that I steam set. And the thing with this one here is the double spiral where I folded part of it over. So this one here, you need to take extra care that you make sure you get enough dye down inside. The other ones I kind of peeked a little bit. I wasn't too worried about it because they were all single layer ones. But this one here, I'm going to make sure to open up all these creases when I'm done dyeing to verify that I don't have a bunch of white spots in there. Anytime you're dyeing multiple layers, you need to be more aware of the saturation levels in there. We're done with the double spiral. I'm going to put this in, let it batch for 48 hours, and then I'm going to wash it with the rest of the teas, and we'll do our little side-by-side comparison. So, thank you for watching, and you'll see the results to this in about 2 seconds. Alright, here's the last one. And this, once again, was dyed on the second day and batched for just 24 hours. The other one I steam set and batched for 24 hours. This one I just batched 24 hours. So it looks like we got a nice spiral in there, so let's open this thing all the way up. Alright, so remember this one here was a double spiral, so there's the one spiral, and then there's the double spiral. So that one came out fantastic. So I'll get this washed, post it a little later.